Stop talking about heaven. That seems like a pretty audacious thing to say. After all, what is the Christian hope? Isn't it to go to heaven? Well, let me explain. Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians 15 that if there is no resurrection of the dead, we are of all men most miserable. And he goes on to say that Christ is the first fruits in terms of his resurrection. In other words, he's the first of the harvest, that just as he was planted and resurrected, so too will we be. And that means that we will have renewed bodies, restored. We will be physical beings just like he is as the resurrected one. Well, what does this have to do with the question of heaven? What it has to do with the question of heaven is the position of the earth in the future that God has planned. Paul says in Romans 8 that the creation itself groans in travail, looking for the liberation of the sons of God. That's us. In other words, it is expecting to share in our glory. So you see, the creation does not groan in order to be obliterated. Oh, we finally cease to exist. Of course, Paul is speaking, giving the creation personality that it doesn't really have. But the point is that the creation has been subjected to futility because of man's condition. And when man's condition ends, the result is not the obliteration of creation, but its renewal. So when we speak of the future, we shouldn't be speaking of the end of the world. We should be thinking of the end of the age, the renewal of the creation. Our bodies will die, but that doesn't mean that all their context is now gone and they will never have any meaningful existence after that. Rather, our bodies will be resurrected. Our bodies will be made like that of Jesus. And so too with the created order in general. It will be resurrected, if you will. It will share in the glories of the sons of God. And that's why I say stop talking about heaven, because what talking about heaven does is it misleads us into thinking of an eternal state that is kind of nebulous and ethereal. Now, the truth is that the problem is not that we talk about heaven. What we neglect to add is that heaven ultimately will return to earth and be fully bound together with earth. So it's not that we do not look forward to heaven. It's that the heaven to come is going to be very different from the heaven as it is. What we are looking for is the resurrection of the body, and we are looking for the resurrection of our world.